Hey, Shalom, Kahala, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waha, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to you, Akim, pushing this word in truth and sincerity. This is Amathia from the GMS Dallas camp, and wanted to go into a quick lesson in regards to the sea life in the ocean, where we see the ruler of this world, who is the so-called white man, who biblical heritage goes all the way back to Esau Edom, which make them the Edomites. All right. And the earth was given to the hands of the wicked, pursuant to Job 9 and 24. So we want to see here that with everything that's going on, it is on his watch. Okay. Everything that's happening in the world is we see the world is dying, and the people therein and the animals, everyone is suffering because a wicked rulership is upon the earth, and the Lord will come and snatch that rulership. All right, and our Lord is Yahweh, which is who the world ignorantly calls God. His true biblical name is Yahweh, which means He is. Okay, all right, and it says in the name, which is Baha Sham, of Yahweh Shai, which is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, okay, which is the true Messiah, all right, who will be considered a so-called black man in today's society, but his name is Yahweh Shai, okay. He is the deliverer. He is our salvation, okay. And before he comes and render rulership, okay, we have to see what the mess that Esau has put us in. Even dealing with the water, he has polluted the water. Now you can say, okay, well, everybody had a part in it, but who watches the earth end? When you look at the industrial fishing pollution, pollution that has happened, that is happening on a major scale. You don't have just little minor people walking around with nets, getting on their little personal boats, going out fishing. Because a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, they're going to bring their stuff back in. Okay. But when you have these big industrial companies that throw out these big ass all this material into the ocean, things break off and happen. They just leave it there. All right. And that basically causes the ocean to suffer. So this man is destroying on land and in ocean. All right. And that causes less oxygen. Okay. Getting stuck, animals getting stuck in these different debris of fishing nets and what have you. This is what's causing death in the water. So this man is a harbinger of death. All right. Because he have made things that's non-biodegradable. You cannot it won't break down. It takes thousands of years for certain things to break down, like these plastic that he have came and bonded together to make these certain type of plastic materials. All right, which is a lot of natural way to do things, but this dude, he don't give a damn. All right, it may cause issues later, but yet he says, well, what about now? Don't worry about later. This is the kind of nigga that we have ruling the world. So we're gonna watch this here. This is the industrial pollution, and Lord willing, you'll be edifying. Okay, I'll go ahead and play it, and I'll get a few scriptures.
The Annie Helena is a super trawler, or factory vessel. These vessels are designed to maximize their catch in the shortest amount of time. When we arrive on the scene, it had already pulled off its net, so we decided to follow its path to see if anything was left behind. To have a global view, we launched the drone on its track. At 150 meters high, we discovered patches of thousands of dead fish, killed for no reason.
Now, if you look at that, it looks like just some bubbles or something in the water, but these are actual dead animals. Okay.
kill for no reason. At dawn, our small boats are on their way to observe how the ship operates. It's scary to watch. The size of the net, the giant vacuum that sucks up the fish from the net and sends it straight to the fish holds. All these birds diving on the net to try and catch pieces of leftover fish scraps also sometimes get caught up in the process.
And don't this remind you what it said the uh, slave ships in the Atlantic trade slave ships? And I'm pretty sure it was for the Northern and Southern Kingdom, where it was so many bodies, where you had sharks and stuff that constantly follows the actual route that the slave ships took. All right, they followed the actual route that the slave ships took because it was so many bodies. It was like a feast. Now look at these birds. You probably can have these birds doing the same thing over a period of time. If they haven't already done so, when they don't see the boats, they still probably just trail this path, thinking this is the path where the food lies. Okay, because it's going to be death and it's going to be free meals. And this is the call to Esau Edom. All right, I wanted to go ahead and get a quick scripture here. All right, this is Revelations. All right, Revelation 6. And verse 8. It says, and I looked, and this is John the Revelator speaking, all right, what the Lord gave him to see. It says, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And that pale horse is going to representation of Esau Edom, who rules the world today. All right, keep going here. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And his power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So this is example. Everywhere he goes, you see where this boat is traveling, which belongs to that nigga Esau. And you have other nations do it, but you got to think he is the ruler. This is happening on his watch. All right. Wherever he goes, it's like this boat, death and hell is gonna follow. Like Pepe Le Pew in that funk. Esau in his funk bringing forth death. Everywhere he goes, you fall into that smell, that trail. It can bring forth death. This is a prime example. All right. As we just read in Revelation 8 and 6, that pale horse, that death and hell will constantly follow him until he's stopped.
This is the true face of industrial fishing.
True face of Esau.
Effortlessly emptying the ocean on a giant scale to provide our supermarkets with cheap fish, to make surimi and fish meal to feed farm salmon and factory-raised chickens. The heavy price is paid by the ocean. The captain of the Annie Helena is not happy to see us around. They pull up their net and start charging at us full speed straight for the Sam Simon. An 86-meter ship charging a 56-meter ship can cause a lot of damage in the case of a collision. They are trying to intimidate us, but they obviously don't know who we are. This attitude only reinforces our determination.
Hundreds of vessels are just like this going around the world. So you have hundreds of vessels going around where death and hell is following. This is the pity of Esau's rulership. Same thing upon the land. Everywhere he's trying to go and he's trying to do to you, especially looking now where he's inserting in people's arms. This is going to bring forth death. It's nowhere in time in history where you see when this so-called white man is ruling where life flourished. Every time he becomes a ruler, you see the decrease, okay? The depreciation of life. And now you have you niggas, okay? You Jakes, you so-called Black, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the true Hebrew Israelites want to give in and say he's going to help us this time, and let me receive this insertion into my arm. And look what's happening. Continuing with the death and the destruction. And before you realize, it's going to be too late. This dude is putting something called in you that has a ingredient of a hydra, which never dies. It only increases and grows. So wherever you get in your body is going to grow. It probably continue growing after you're long gone, you know? And he just took him 3 months to say, okay, here go a concoction. Go ahead with it. And you're taking this shit from the harbinger of death. The Lord set him up, all right, to bring forth death. The wicked was made for destruction. And yet you want to follow someone that their future or their prophecy is going to end up in death, in destruction, because it's going to fall back on his head. All right. And like I said, on the land and in the ocean. But what's going to happen? That's why you're going to have Leviathan's going to come and take over what it said. That's why it's, let me get this here. It reads, this is Psalms 104:26. It says, there go the ships, there is that Leviathan who thou hast made to play therein. So Leviathan, he have played with some of these ships, but he's going to come out and play with all of them. Okay, he's going to push all this BS out the water that Esau has put in there, even Esau. Okay, and that's through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And it said the ocean will die. That's the Lord put an order upon the earth. This is 2nd Ezra 6. And I'm going to start at verse 51. It says, unto Enoch that thou gavest one part, which was dried up in the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part. Now, when it's saying Enoch, there's just also going into the people that's walking upon the earth. All right. Representation. Enoch also can, in this aspect, is a representation of the people, of us walking upon the earth. So it says, unto Enoch thou givest one part which was dried up the 3rd day, which is the land, which is the dry land on the earth, that he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan, all right, thou givest the 7th part, namely the moist, which is what? The oceans, the seas, the waters, and has kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and win. So he has been devouring certain ships, because that's why you see them ships that go out, like you said, the Bermuda Triangle, things like that. It's been sightings of Leviathan where they say they've seen an animal that was 3 or 4 times the size of the Empire State Building. This is Leviathan, right? Okay, and like I say, it's not just one. All right, this is a sea creatures, a family of creatures, if you will, in the sea. All right. Esau has not covered but a small amount of the ocean. He can only go so far and so deep. But like I said, unto Leviathan, thou givest the 7th part, namely the most, has kept him to devour whom he wilt and win. So when it's that time for him to come and really show everyone who he is, that's one time when, like you say, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is going to show. It's going to be an all-out kick out. Party for Esau, kicking him off his throne, his high horse, his rulership. And it's going to be glorious, because if you don't, it's going to be continual death upon the land, upon the earth. All right. And like you said, the Lord gave Leviathan the moist, the oceans and the water. All right. We supposed to fish, but we don't supposed to go in and bring an industrial portion of food constantly and and leaving all this shit in the water, excuse my language, all this material that can't dissolve and material that's killing the animals. So Esau has to be stopped, and it's coming soon to a country, a city, or town near you. Everyone gonna feel the wrath. All right, if you're not the elect, if you're not 144,000. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waha, Rachakadash. Double honors to the Apostles' Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to Yakin pushing this word in truth and sincerity. Shalom.